Today we're gonna watch part 2 of Final Shape ViDoc. They went through some of the things that we're gonna see in the Final Shape, with some of the environmental art, what we're gonna see in the Pale Heart, and just some of the developers' thoughts of how they made and the process of making the Final Shape. Along with the ViDoc, this whole week has been a sleuth of Destiny 2 news, with the changes of exotic armor, changes for subclasses, and the new Pathfinder system, which will combine a lot of the rewards from bounties, Vanguard strikes, Crucible, Gambit, a lot of those activities which are kind of out of the way for a lot of players. The Pantheon system kind of consolidates all of those together and makes it more digestible for everyone. Without further ado, let's get into the second and finale of the Final Shape ViDoc. There are a lot of questions concerning what Part 2 is going to show. Becoming Legend Part 2, Shaping the Magic. And that being the title shows me that we're going to get some class abilities, maybe some new armor to show, and I'm expecting a lot of the developers to go more deeply into some of those aspects of creating our guardians. Let's see what Bungie has to say with this final ViDoc for the Final Shape.
This team and Bungie in general is all about collaboration. Testers, designers, effects artists, animation, all these sources of input from everywhere coming together, and like that was magic for me.
Okay, I'm legend. So maybe they're gonna talk a lot more about like
the Final Shape,
creating the weapons instead of.
It felt a little like a love letter at times.
Themselves.
We really thought about bringing that forward to the weapons. Like Vostov, it's the first gun you get.
Right, so
there has to be the
stuff.
narrative bookends of the first gun I got in the game. It's here in the Pale Heart. It's like this old friend returned. How do you make this thing really good and really powerful without making it not what it is? And that was really challenging. What we ended up deciding on is it is about your skill. Oh, it's all in the wrist. A little like it's gonna bounce several times down this line of guys.
Right.
You're
Yeah.
just really good at bouncing this fate almost. This thing's dope.
Help!
Yeah, and
Yeah,
we
that's the
pepper
perk,
in the
that's
number
pretty cool,
7
actually.
as
That's
many
really
places
cool.
as we could. So it bounces 7 times. It's got a bunch of 7s in its stat. You get 7 bouncy bullets when you pick up an Orb of Power. Bungie has a long legacy of loving the number 7, and this felt like the right place for it. Cade has this iconic hand cannon that in a lot of ways has become a symbol. We took Ace of Spades and we went, where's the rest of the deck of cards? We had this really cool opportunity to theme all the Pale Heart weapons after different suits.
It has this two-tone feel
like
to it. The opposite side of the gun is the inverse of that idea. They look freaking awesome. It also has like these fantasies of characters that have influenced Cade. These guns are part of his past.
We wanted something that you can't do with any of your other weapons, and we came up with No Hesitation. It shoots these harmonic bullets that if you're targeting an enemy, it'll hurt them and burn them. But if you're shooting an ally, it'll heal them.
I love this thing.
Oh, I'm so glad. We had to build a lot of the language, and with the new cool little Guardian health bars, you can see that. The healing effect on it is very strong. For a while, we were calling it the Just Don't Die gun. It has its own little energy bar, like the glaive does, and that energy bar is charged by any damage whatsoever.
Oh, that's cool, man.
It's like, we know what we did.
That's pretty
Since
cool,
you are
actually.
returning to the Traveler, we wanted to focus on bringing new supers to the light subclasses.
For Song of Flame, we wanted to plus up Radiance from Destiny 1 and have it be combat focused.
If you remember Radiance from D1,
some of that now, but it's kind of, it's not unique to.
We kind of ate that visual space with Dawnblade, where you've got these like awesome flame wings. In a split second, if a player sees a character solar with wings, they're going to see that it's Dawnblade. We had to come up with something different.
Zach, our VFX artist, came up with the idea of this halo around you, like a medieval painting.
Oh, what does that look like? It's a nada. from Overwatch.
Twilight Arsenal is a one-off super that also creates these axes. Coming up with visuals for that axe, it was an interesting challenge. How do we want to root this in Destiny? We took a lot of inspiration from Titan's shield. What would it feel like if the axe was the shield broken up? And when you look at it side by side, you can definitely see that connection between the two.
That's cool.
Storm's Edge, we wanted to call back to Arcblade in Destiny 1, throwing the dagger and zipping over there, blowing up stuff. How long do you have?
Are these new abilities?
Initially, you had a long time. Yeah,
24 seconds. We did not earn any friends in those playtests.
No, people were pretty mad. But we toned it down, and now you only have 12 seconds, and it's a lot more reasonable.
We found a problem where when you grapple and then you cast Blink Dagger out of it, I fall to the floor. Right? Whereas if I'm in midair and I Blink Dagger, I should be held in midair, right? And it sucks. So I want to fix it.
It's the things like the camera shake, the way the rumble spikes and then falls back off. We need all of our abilities to feel awesome.
But
we want to make it so that the controller
or maybe
melts away.
Some Warlock stuff.
You stop thinking about what do I have to do, and instead you just inhabit your character, and you don't have to think about it. The game just plays.
The great thing about Prismatic was every playtest we did, the feedback got better and better. We have gone back and forth on what starter builds that players will get.
That's a good sign, though.
In Mission 1.
You want that.
Okay, we're going to start the Titans with Stringer's Lash, their Strand Aspect, and Knockout. One of the notes we got is players just weren't understanding how those two things comboed in a loop. Well, we're going to drop Stringer's Lash, and instead we're going to put in Diamond Lance. Now, any ability kill is making your Diamond Lance. Your Knockout punch. Hey, that makes the Diamond Lance. You throw your Diamond Lance at the floor, everything's frozen. Now you can punch stuff again and get amplified with Knockout. Once we made that switch, all of a sudden it clicked.
So they're talking about some of the exotics that they're adding into the Final Shape and some of the changes, from my understanding, which is a good thing. Prismatic is going to change a lot of how we interact with our abilities in each subclasses, so they kind of have to change some of those interactions with those abilities to cater to Prismatic also. So this is a good change. I like it.
Players' heads, this loop becomes a lot more clear, and players were much more satisfied with their starter loadouts.
At the end of the day, like, the chaos is the point.
Yeah. If you aren't surprised and delighted in a way that you didn't expect, like,
yeah.
This strike is probably one of the coolest strikes that
new
we've
strike?
ever
Cool,
released.
okay.
I started my Destiny journey playing strikes. I really wanted to push the expectations of what a strike could potentially be. This strike, it's sort of a memory out of the Witness's history of its race and what its buildings may have looked like in the past. A lot of the inspiration comes from 30s pulp novels, adventure flicks, uncovering ancient, hidden cities that have not seen a living soul in eons.
I like that. I love that.
And then subsequently destroying those cities moments later.
Here, we'll go back to that spot, like right here. So this really reminds, like, all this, it kind of reminds me of Pulp Fiction movies or games, even something like Tomb Raider. What is it? Why am I forgetting? Tomb Raider, Uncharted, Indiana Jones. You see that? So this is kind of, and it's adding a little bit of sci-fi Destiny flavor to it. So the aesthetic here is very different from what Destiny usually is. But it really works, especially because of the history with the Witness. We know that the Witness is like some insane, like, ancient entity that's been around for a pretty long time, and I think even predating the Traveler. So this is a cool vibe that everyone could feel like they can understand.
Flicks uncovering ancient, hidden cities that have not seen a living soul in eons. And then subsequently destroying those cities moments later.
Imagine you're in a narrow hallway. You need to escape it. Lava is descending.
This is Pulp
Obstacle
Fiction
is
stuff
coming
for
out
sure.
of the walls. You made this slide towards the closing door,
Pulp
and
Fiction. It's like an adventure
dead.
kind of thing. Adventure kind of.
the door just closed right in front of your face.
genre.
That happens a lot.
I have 7 Gilded Conqueror titles. I want this strike to be the hardest strike
No
we ever made. I want people to scream and cry over this strike.
Oh no.
And
It's
just
a strike.
say, how do I complete this strike on Grandmaster difficulty? And I'll be like, yes.
Oh man.
That's kind of one of the fun parts about making a strike. There's so much freedom and creativity to do
know, it's good.
wild things, and then testing that. It's just a lot of fun, that back and forth.
See, and they're not
We have a very
changing.
tight
They're not really
relationship with
changing their
test as
colors either.
designers, and I couldn't do anything. I do, gameplay-wise, without
You
test
see,
there
like a
at
lot
my
of those
side.
bright
But as soon
neon
as
purple
I can get fresh
pinks.
eyes on it, I think that's where it really comes in.
We ran a lot of playtests, and every time I would invite people, I'm like, this is final playtest, but it's never final. We just can't stop.
It's really not just one department creating something special. When you see all those things combined in the iteration and the back and forth, and when you get to this end result where it just feels like it couldn't be any other way, we hit on something amazing here.
So I know, man. Let's go. We're all excited for it. I really like what they showed with both of the parts of the ViDoc. More of what I liked about the game is in this part 2, just kind of getting into the ideas of the exotics that they're making, and the changes that they're implementing within the Final Shape. So it's really good to see them not be afraid to changing a fundamental part of the game, which is the subclasses. But overall, I love both of those documentaries. The first part was a lot more of the environmental, what we're gonna see in the Pale Heart itself. We got a little more of what Bungie's thinking when it comes to exotics, subclasses, and all those gameplay things that we all enjoy. That is it for my reactions for part 2. The first part is on my channel too if you want to get to see that. We are so close to the Final Shape, just about 2 weeks here, and I'm excited to see all the changes, see how they play in the game. Actually, I'm excited. I hope everyone is too. I'll see everyone on June 4th for the Final Shape.